Biohybrids, mixing corporeal organics with mechanical synthetic instruments. The computation of mechanist properties amalgamated with biological living systems is in full swing. The bionic instruments that have been deployed as robotic conductors is a realistic, albeit rudimentary basis at the macro level. Yet of obsolete components due to the evolution and upgrading of architecture, technology and soft and hardware, the speed of integrations is fast becoming realized, especially of binary cybernetic systems of multiplex dimensions of bioserver conduits. What I mean by this is, that the neuronic and nano-amalgamation of cybernetic photo-optics, photosynthesis and photoluminescence has been an internal hybridism. At the micro-level bionic systems are a revolution of microchip, microplastics, microcircuitry robotics from a scalar high-tech mechanist instrumentational basis. The silicon liquefaction and nanocircuitry microchip transistors are powerful semiconductors considered from a biophysics perspective, and the operation of devices at the nanoscale materials that seamlessly revolve of synthetic algorithm as biophysical servers. What is easily evident of the computing output that translates as real-world application of internet and intranet local to wide area networks. Provide a basis of implications of a nanofiber hybridization readily available and very easily feasible, and isn't difficult to fathom the vast extent of a systematic filtration. As per the chemical engineering, the manufactured causation perspirated as a chaotic rudimentary appliance, is akin to putting one or more concoctions into a catalyst and seeing what the diagnostic results to becoming, combined of a steady regime of consistent abrasion. Artificial enzyme inducement therefore is a common avenue of impedance at the metabolic and mitochondria nucleotide level, as a crystalline frame upon the brainstem. The psychic conduction, especially of a bionic mechanistic point combined of such regime of handicapping the intuition and cognitive stability, of what is immediate example, of a delirium induced via salinated liquefaction of soluble gels, assured as a realization, for parapsychology is a definitive example, of a surreal imposure designed to alienate and isolate. That and the merging of metalloenzymes of inorganic exogenous compounds, referred to as cation, or attraction of electrolysis that in turn is a reactive condition of organic compounds, and inorganic to organic hydrogel osmosis. Thus optogenetic absorption upon the body as though a cathode electrolysis and a hydrolysis application, of a reverse of condensation due to the binding of a soluble electrolyte conditioned reaction as dehydration and cognitive degradation, ultimately leading to soft and hard modes of delirium and soft death. Thus a chemical reversal of compounds that absorb water molecules is a hydrolytic chemical process of solvent leading to a soluble condensate osmosis as an inverted comparison and thus as if a fluidity of coagulation of chemical derivative byproduct. Therefore, a mechanistic application leading to a molecular diffusion is feasible. Macromolecules as example, are very large molecules that comprise bonded atoms that form a polymer base of subunits. As modes of tampering at the microbial level, the metalloenzymes manufactured as synthetic nanogel is a causation of efflux fusion of entanglement and metabolic reaction, translated as symptoms such as stroke or heart failure or other ailments, inflammatory truncation and mechanically driven mnemonic suggestive efficacy, what are feasible, groupthink thought forms of neural and synaptic pseudoscience especially of diantic cognitive behavioral modification performed, against the unsuspecting. Whilst cognitive behavioral therapy aligned as a diantic indoctrination that is simply evident of a Scientology occult, mired of a Catholicism and Protestantism of religious marauding by way of psychological mass formation, easily evident as a folia due delusion of two or more, psychogenic proliferation, as immediate translation of a mechanist fundamentalism comprising the aforementioned techniques, with primary emphasis of preemptive, neurogenic precognitive compromisation. The results of the chemical imposure inoculated via drug therapy, and the consistent barrage of synthetic hydrogel incidents. It is simply an emphasis of psychological harm, plagiarized as a traced neuronic synaptic causation that's been an overall lobotomy. Thought disorders and a thought formation resulting as primary catalysts for psychological torment is definitively posed as doctored treatment. The synthetic world simulation combined of photon and nanogel absorption, pre-programmed as a photoluminescent and precognitive infraction upon the corporeal organic brain and holism of the synapses, instantly and easily exposed as a mechanistic lulling and dociling, a definitive example of thought form, derivative of analytical and instrumentative processing. The Department of Defense Special Programs of Regenerative Medicines, Telekinetic and Psychokinesis, the parapsychology and psychic application and phenomena utilized as a recombination of the aforementioned. It is simply evident of the anthropomorphic association by proxy avatar, neural psychological formation, synthesis of sacrilegious multitudes. However, of spying apparatuses of a sensory distilling. That has been incorporated as God syndromes of megalomanic perverse multitudes. What is even more self-evident of the metamorphism conducted as biohacking derivatives and a servile victimization, incorporated as decentralized blame as modes of psychological camouflage. Regenerative processes in living systems reverse-engineered as bionic transgenics is performed as a retroviral, semipermeable nanogel osmosis as secretion, manipulating gene expression, bioengineering, and a derivative metamorphism by way of splicing techniques to regenerating synthetic anomalous activity via cellular, mechanistic reprogramming and molecular mechanisms initiating the pseudocellular regeneration processing. It is unavoidably evident of the macrocosm lasing of synthetic filtration of pseudonym photometric doppelganger multiverse, holism of complex manifolds, designed to possess, integrate, maim and destroy, concluding a meta-series of meta-mapping, both geometrically and biometrically. The mechanical engineering performed is easily exposed as projected belligerence and mania of handicapped proliferation, for such marauding holds no merit because it simply is pointless of ambition, a mutually assured destruction. The implications derived as vulnerability is by way of dreamscapes, photometrically synthesized, and manufactured via exposure of thought-suggestive perversion, especially when sleeping and resting as are externally afflicted repetitive antagonism combined of memory harvesting via mechanically orchestrated snapshot compromisation furthermore evident of the Microsoft drivers. However, the mutually assured reliance, despite the precognitive neuroconditioning, is a simultaneous mutually assured deterrent of the macrocosm threatened via marauding bandwidths of computed networks and neural synaptic half-life exposure, for the necessity of complementary functionality is a mutually assured succession of achievements. Hence sharing is the practical pragmatic realization working together to achieving primary and common goals, such as equilibriums of enlightenment, graduations of education, stability of homage, family partnership, and revolutions of evolutions, despite the filtration of abrasive components designed to kill, maim and handicap and docile, mechanically. The simple fact is, I could not make this up. And you had best listen and share this with your immediate family, because this is military-grade briefing to and for the entire world. It is no exaggeration of the servile belligerence that has been fomented against our family who, arc of homage of this place we call home. And some guy doing an article that has already been destined to being buried by mechanical algorithms as modes of censorship, would not just make this up for no apparent reason. This is real, I've been attacked, and I need you to listen and share about this, because this concerns you. Thank you for listening.